apparently this show is called Rising with Krystal and Cigar, and it's on the Hill, and they've been recommending this channel to me like early and often. So I eventually decided to take the bait. Now I remember Crystal Ball being on MSNBC. The cigar guy, I'm not familiar with in the slightest. I thought it was Ezra Klein for a little bit. Either ways, Rahm Emanuel, who ran Chicago for a bit there, and he was heavily involved in the Obama administration, as well as just he's a corporatist. He's a stooge, man. Like without question. Hold on, let me put a suspected or an alleged stooge on there. But when it comes to the machine and the mechanisms that put the face towards corporate interest, yeah, he's a neolib. So he wrote a piece, and Crystal Ball is about to comment on that piece, and I'm going to comment on Crystal Ball commenting on Rahm Emanuel's piece, because you know how we get down on this channel. Lego.
All right, Krystal, what's on your radar?
Well, I wanted to give a quick thank you this morning to the one and only Rahm Emanuel. I was poking around the news on Sunday thinking about what I wanted to talk to y'all about today, and I was frankly undecided. I've got a lot of thoughts on Katie Hill being forced to resign by revenge porn.
Okay, so Katie Hill, yeah, she, like, whatever you want to say about it, she still put herself in that position. Ladies, stop with that, first and foremost, because they love doing that. Like, oh, well, it was revenge porn. She let whoever it is take the pictures. She was clearly not a good enough judge of character to not see how this could come back and bite her in the behind eventually. So, as far as her being, quote-unquote, forced to resign, hey, you got to eat that loss.
On how the media is trying to make the outcome of impeachment suspenseful, when in fact we all know exactly how this is going to end.
I'm very curious to know how you think impeachment will end, because I don't see it. Like, honestly, I don't see it happening. That, like, they're still scraping the bottom of the barrel. They're doing everything that they can, but I don't see it getting past the Senate in its current iteration. So.
And on Joe having hilariously taken credit for Bernie not having a super PAC because he said people can't possibly trust you if you do, and now, lo and behold, Joe's got a super PAC. But
wait, a politician being a hypocrite? No, come on.
Rahm, well, buddy, you made my decision easy by writing an absolutely perfect anti-Medicare for all screed in the Washington Post. And by perfect, I mean deliciously wrong and completely lacking in self-awareness in every way. You know what gets...
Man, she's really feeling herself. So here's the deal. When it comes to Medicare for all, when it comes to, healthcare as a general thing, I would prefer we didn't tie it so closely to employment. And I think we can have a program where families and individuals can have general practitioners that they can deal with. Just your regular old family. I got a cough, doctor. And then we can separate it, particularly at the insurance level, with, the specialist and the neurosurgery science and all that other fun stuff. I believe that there should be like two different tiers. And honestly, JT, you might be thinking, oh, wait, that sounds familiar. But I think it might be cool for like two different tiers. One for general practitioners, family doctors, the doctor the doctor your family has gone to for generations, and then the specialties. But Medicare for all, like, everyone tries to really wrap healthcare up into just one big ball, and it's so nuanced that that's just a mistake.
Going, and this was way too good to resist. All right, so first some context. Rahm Emanuel has a long history of opposing really any kind of healthcare reform. He's the guy who reportedly begged Obama not to pursue healthcare reform at all, and then begged him to pursue a much more limited plan than Obamacare. Then he spiked the public option that he now is actually advocating for. We're going to get to that in a moment.
So Rahm Emanuel is a corporate tool. We know that. Okay, like, it really isn't hard to sniff them out. I remember being in the streets of Chicago when they're in the re-election, and they had Chuy Garcia going after him. And deal is that, what the establishment is, with all these different cells that the Democratic Party has throughout the entire nation, it was just whatever the establishment wants, the establishment gets. He is establishment through and through. He is a representative of the machine that, in each and every red-blooded American's heart that we want to rail against.
He's also the guy who helped write NAFTA, spiked extreme poverty by helping to end welfare, and helped push through that disastrous 94 crime bill that supercharged mass incarceration and was generally an integral part of turning the Democratic Party away from the working class and towards the professional class, which has really worked out great for all involved.
So he's a neoliberal. It's the same way that you have neoconservatives. People who wear red but bleed green, and it's no different when it comes to the blue team. That's really where the establishment gets its power, because it's convinced so many people that, the blue team represents this and the red team represents that. No, it's all about the money, silly.
Rahm is also the guy who works for a big Wall Street firm called Centerview Partners that has a bunch of health industry clients. Of course, all of this context may have been helpful for the Washington Post to provide, but they were too busy giving a platform to a pro-industry shill to take down the central plank of Bernie's campaign platform.
Oh! See, if I was a better editor, I would put the meme there. Oh! She went at Washington Post! But yeah, all the institutions, all the establishments, they pick their horses. They know what narrative and agenda that they want to push forward, and thusly, all right, Rahm, come on, I'll pin this for us. It's more than likely Rahm didn't even write it.
All right, so here's the article. Someone needs to say it. Medicare for all is a pipe dream. Now, let me stop right there, because I don't know how closely Mr. Emanuel follows politics, but plenty of someones have actually already said it. Thank you very much. Allow me to introduce you to Joe Biden, John Delaney, Pete Buttigieg, Amy Klobuchar, Steve Bullock, Michael Bennett, John Hickenlooper, industry ad buys during Democratic primary debates, every debate moderator ever, and also you.
We've taken a position so far, and the candidates have, through the process, a few have not, on basically Medicare for all, which is we're going to eliminate 150 million people's health care, and we're going to provide health care for people that just come over the border. That is an untenable position for the general election. As you know, George, I just biked around Lake Michigan, nearly 1,000 miles, through Michigan and Wisconsin,
Okay, let me cut this right quick. Deal is, Mr. Emanuel, he's 100% correct in this position. That's sitting there saying how you want to, because they all raise their hands. Do you want to provide health care for illegal immigrants coming across the border? And they all raise their hands. And yet that is a very untenable position. I'm sorry, but you have to have, everyone likes to sit there and talk about how females have empathy. I'm not particularly seeing it, because you have to be able to empathize with your fellow American first and foremost, who, pays their taxes, does what they're supposed to do, trying to live this American dream, and how they keep getting undercut time and time again. Every program, every initiative has some type of nefarious underbelly pinning to it. And it's a Trojan horse. All of them have been.
important states. Nobody at a diner ran at me and said, take my health care away. Nobody. This is reckless as it relates to, and you don't have to take the position to win the primary, and you're basically literally hindering yourself for the general election.
So there you go. But please proceed to.
But he's right. Like, that's the thing. Like, as Americans, we want to this country isn't brand new. This country didn't just pop open like a fresh can of Pepsi. No, this country is like 200 years old. There are generations of people here. And then you have a lot of people who come here and like, yeah, I don't mind locking that door behind me. Trust me. Like, when it comes to the immigrant class. So yeah, like, there is a way of life here that we look to preserve and we need to maintain. And a big part of that is putting Americans first, which is the main reason Trump has taken a hold the way that he has, because it's always America. Say as long as it's America, Trump want to hear it. So that's kind of like been his thing, and he's really done well off of it, as opposed to the blue team, who's just been completely bonkers. And no, it's not just immigration. It's been abortion. It's been the transitioning kids, all these other things that the left sat here and was like, oh well, I mean, we have this noble cause. We have this noble cause that we really want to get to, and so we get there, right? When it comes to marriage equality, right? We get there with magic, yeah, woo, love wins, all this other stuff, and then you're like, oh yeah, and kids can be chemically castrated. Whoa there, champ. You see what I'm saying? Like,
oh so original argument. So here's Rahm's first point. I'm mystified as to why when 90% of Americans already have insurance, our presidential debates are focused so exclusively on expanding coverage rather than containing costs. Yes, to those millions of Americans with no coverage, honestly, why do we care? That's the spirit, guys. And also,
I mean, technically, those millions of Americans, they have a personal responsibility to take care of themselves. I mean, it's not something that you really want to hear all the time, but yeah, you're at the end of the day, what happens to you, you have to deal with. It's about personal responsibility too. What's going on? There we go.
Did it occur to you that Medicare for All is not only about coverage, but also about reducing costs? We pay way more than every single payer nation and get worse results. So there's that too. All right, Rahm's next point. Quote, maybe you think Medicare for All is the way to go. If so, please explain to me exactly how we get that bill through the Senate. Remember, in 2010, we had 58 Democratic senators, yet we weren't even able to get a vote on a public option. Now, this one is really rich, since Rahm himself was an integral part of why there was no vote on the public option. What's more, the "this will be hard" argument applies just as much to the public option that Rahm has now embraced as it does to Medicare for All. Remember, Rahm, as you just said, you had 58 Democratic senators and you couldn't pass a public option, the very thing that you are now saying we could get through a much less favorable Senate. Do you think that Mitch and his gang have gotten more accommodating? The only way this gets done is through an organized grassroots uprising forcing Washington to do their bidding. Medicare for All is the kind of transformational change that can't.
Okay, so when it comes to forcing Washington to do the bidding, all you can really do is just press your senators and your congressmen, and they're getting hit from 1,000,003 different directions and will basically do whatever it is that their masters tell them and sit there and say, oh yeah, well, there are some people that felt differently than you did, so best of luck to you, Ultimately, this this feels like whether it be public option, right, or Medicare for All, it feels like a Trojan horse to an extent, because it's a federal program that is trying to lock everybody in, when these are the types of things that maybe the federal level should be facilitating at the local, at the state, county, and municipal level, because it should be more about taking care of each government entity, right? Each government power, each level, because you have your municipal, state, and federal, right? At each level, they should be backing each other up. But as we've discussed in other videos, these things are filled up with people who have agendas and want to see things, their own way, or will block things out of spite, will block things because, hey, they got a grudge. This is what happens. The cracks are just too damn massive. The cracks are just too damn massive, and the issues are far too complex and nuanced. And you got Senator Rahm Emanuel, who, represents this corporatized wing, and yet so do you, Krystal Ball. It's no real substance here. It's the same things because guess what? It's not really too different. And then she goes on to defend the Green New Deal, in which Saikat Chakrabarty goes out of his way and says, yes, this is about socialism. This isn't about the climate, right? So it's like, okay, can we not have all these damn Trojan horses? Could somebody be 100% legit with us? But it's not happening, guys. Y'all know I'm still sick, right? So with that being said, I want to bring this one to an end, because it really just, golly, neither one of these people, both of these people have an agenda to sell and a narrative to push. So, it is what it is. End of the day, neither one of them give two damns about us, right? So, all the internet stuff. If you liked it, toss it a like. Dislike, yeah, go ahead and do that too. Nobody's scared of you. Sub if you enjoyed the fantastic voice. And you want to get videos like this every single day. Share, because sharing is caring. And YouTube and BitChute and and speak. Let me know, what do you think in the comments. Yeah, I feel like a tiered system, something like, because I can't help but feel like I'm close to what Jeff Tragg had told me about with the universal basic healthcare thing, where you got general practitioners, and then you got the expensive specialty stuff. But people just to take care of the kids, and eh, I don't know. I really, I couldn't tell you. Maybe you can tell me. That's what I have a comment section for. And until the next one.